Person Charlie Maynard.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I thank the member for Sheffield Central for bringing such an important debate to the House, and I appreciate all the speeches that have been given with such force. And it's enormously important to so many of my constituents in Witney, so much appreciated. As we've heard, a disaster is happening in the Occupied Palestinian Territories. 2,000 people have been killed just in the West Bank since October 2023. And this is just the tip of an iceberg of settler violence and state-sponsored violence, which is carving up land, putting in barriers, and somewhere between 500,000 and 750,000 Israelis now live in settlements in the West Bank, which are illegal under international law. And the Israeli government is going to double down on this with its active plans for a massive further expansion in the E1 zone. And the UK government looks on passively. What we need to do now is introduce a legislative ban on all UK trade in goods and services with illegal Israeli settlements. And this should include a package of sanctions, including large fines for any UK firms which bid for tenders relating to illegal settlement construction in the E1 area or elsewhere in the Occupied Palestinian Territories. These sanctions should also extend to include any financial institutions here in the UK which, through the provision of finance, directly facilitate UK companies' involvement in construction or other service provision for illegal settlements. And yes, we're all thinking about you, JCB. Various people members in the chamber have already talked about the similarities with the speed at which the government introduced sanctions on Russian-occupied Crimea and other illegally occupied parts of Ukraine. So I won't rehash that, but the Office of Trade Sanctions Implementation and HMRC play key roles, and they are not being asked to do that now. Members have also covered about how other countries, Spain, Netherlands, Ireland, Belgium, are implementing bans or legislating to implement bans. If we don't know how to do it, why don't we ask them how they did it? I think we might learn something. But the really important thing I want to stress here is about services. The value of services is unknown compared to the value of goods, but services almost certainly is large, perhaps much larger than goods. And we really, really want, whether it is or it isn't, we really want the services included. And I'm really looking for a commitment from the Minister to a ban to include services and to enforce that. So, I also now want to talk about the government's non-enforcement of its own current labelling measures. The Business and Trade Select Committee, of which I'm a member, has written to the government twice on this point, most recently in April 2026, following a meeting with Palestinian delegates on the 4th of February and a subcommittee session with the Minister for Trade, thank you, on the 25th of February. The government, however, has since refused the committee's request for evidence on enforcement of its current labelling measures. I would really ask the Minister to give us that evidence so we can have it. And these commitments matter because these are commitments that we have made along with Israel under the UK-Israel Free Trade Agreement. And this requires the UK and Israel to differentiate between goods produced within Green Line Israel, i.e. pre-67 borders, and goods produced in the occupied Palestinian territories. So that's a really key point. At the moment, overall, I think the House, many members in this House will share the impression that the government's inaction here is one where the government's talking the talk about protecting human rights and upholding international law, but it's not walking the walk. And this is a Labour government. Bluntly, I expect more from you. So I really hope that we will see something today on this.